Warming up. All right, y'all. What's up? Sunday morning. So crazy fires out here. I saw somebody early in the chat saying good morning and from Orange County, and just wanted to say hope you and your friends are safe from these insane wildfires. Yeah, I mean, I know plenty of people that I don't even know if their houses made it. So it's just crazy. It's really bad. Drinking my smoothie. Yesterday about 1 p.m. So I'm in the valley, just north of LA or whatever. So yesterday about 1 or 1:30 p.m. I went out, and you can see this, the smoke was off west in the distance. By 3:30 p.m. it was, because the winds had shifted and they'd gone to be, shifted to be onshore winds, blowing everything back, and it was crazy. It just smelled like ash and smoke. And so I actually went to Orange County last night, and I was like, let's get out of here, and just drove down because they were talking on the news about all the particulates in the air and how bad it is for you and stuff if you're breathing that stuff. And so I was like, let's just get out of here because I think that the winds were supposed to shift again, at some point today or maybe late last night or something. So I decided to just get out of here. And it was, luckily I went down to Laguna Beach last night. It was, completely clear air, and just had dinner down there and hung out till late and stuff, and then came back. But anyway, hi, you guys. Good morning. Good, happy Sunday. Feels a little weird, just talking guitar and stuff when only like 20 miles from here is like everybody's losing their homes and stuff. It's really sad. I'm upset about it. It reminds me of those times in, the last fire was just recent, it was like when was it? It was only like a year ago or whatever that the last really bad one around, or series of bad ones around here. So it's just happening all the time, and it's just bums me out. But anyway, hi everybody. Not to start on a bummer note, but it's hard to not acknowledge it. I feel really bad for a lot of the folks that are dealing with this right now out there, and it just sucks. Anyway, let's move on to guitar stuff. I'm going to start from the top here. Any news on the Helix packages you're doing? Not yet. No, I have to get into that. There's a guy I'm supposed to talk to about it actually, and get a little bit further into it. By the way, I'm right now I'm playing through the aux actually. I'm using. It sounds great. I'm using a PT100 with an Archer in front of it. So, sounds really good to me right now. But yeah, I'm playing through the aux, so you're hearing the delay and stuff in the speaker sim from the aux. And it's fun. If I was to make a pedal board and only use 5 pedals, which pedal would you choose and brand? Brands is, I could use a lot of different things, but I mean, I would probably have a compressor, an overdrive, a fuzz, a delay, and a reverb, something like that. You can look at my little board and actually see what's on it. I've got a Strymon El Cap and Flint. I've got a brand new Rocket overdrive. It's a little green one. I'm not sure what he calls it actually, but it's like a little small size green pedal. It sounds really good. I'm just trying that out. I've got a Phase 90. I've got a compressor, Suhr Cocoa Boost, and a tuner. So probably something along those lines. I got to have an overdrive and I got to have echo. So, all right. And Braxall says, thank you for all the videos. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Hi from Norway. And we got about 246 people online. That's pretty cool. Right out of the gate. Hello from Thailand, says Jim. He says, any opinion or advice for power setup and conditioning for gear in home studios compared to live? I don't really, I think if you get a Furman or something that's just conditioned isolated. The main problem with studios is when you've got like dimmers on the same line and stuff, and your light dimmers and stuff, and they throw junk back into the AC when you turn them down, and then you get weird noises through your gear. But if you don't have any of that going on, just a Furman or something is probably fine. I've got like I think I've got a Monster. That's what's in my studio. It's like a Monster thing that I plug my computer into and all my stuff, and it's just a line conditioner and surge protector. And that's what I plug in, my mic pre's and my the UA interface and the computer and all that stuff is plugged into that Monster thing. I forgot I had it. It's like under the desk. It's been there for years. Yeah. So let's move down in the chat a little bit. Hi from Norway. Hi from Ireland. How does the Boss DD500 compare to the Timeline? I think it compares quite well. I mean, it's got its own thing, a little bit different as far as editing goes. Both sound really good. The DD500 has some nice things about it. Dave Friedman really likes the way it sounds because he likes the SDE 3000? That's the classic Boss delay, and he always liked that delay, and he likes the way they sound in effects loops, and he thinks it does that sound really well, which is why he recommended it to me, and I tried it. I think it's great. I do find my delays, since I started using it, a little more present. I can hear them a little better. The Timeline's great, but maybe it was just that I was veering towards sort of darkening the delays a lot in the Timeline, and that was creating kind of like a not as I think maybe I was veering too much on the side of making my delays too dark sometimes when I was using it, which works out well for certain sounds, and then for others it's like you really need the delay to have some volume to it and some brightness to it, so that the delay repeats aren't too murky. You want them to poke, when you really want to hear the rhythm of the delay, it's helpful to not darken the delays too much. So I've come to realize that over time. I'm still learning things. Greetings from Seattle. What's up? Henrique says hi all, and somebody's in the super chat up there. Roberto, hi Roberto, and he says, what brand of in-ear monitors do you use in your shows? Do you get a stereo mix? I do, and I've been using, I quite like them. They're called 64 ears, and they're the A5 model, which is kind of their midline model. It's got 5 drivers. I tried the really expensive ones, and I didn't like them for guitar, because I find if you get it's sort of a fallacy that more drivers is going to equate better, fuller sound. If you've got too much bass going on in your in-ears, it can tend to kind of cloud up the mids, and it just didn't sound like my guitar tone in my in-ears. I was like, what is this sound? It just sounded like a blanket over everything, because there was so much low end in them. Now, I guess for certain folks, like, if you're doing EDM or something, and you've got, like certain styles of music, it might make, or a bass player, you might want all that bass. One thing is, I don't think it's good for your ears. Sensophonics will tell you that, the most drivers they put in their in-ears is 2. And the reason is because primarily they're a hearing preservation company. They would make earplugs and hearing aids and things like that, I think. And so they're concerned with too much, volume and pressure and stuff like that, and with their in-ear. So they're like, 2 drivers is enough. Any more than that, and you can actually do damage to your ears with all that low end. The thing about low end is it doesn't sound painful like mids do, or high end. But pummeling your ears with all that low end is that they're of the opinion, I think, that you can really do some damage. So you want to be careful about that. So anyway, the A5s I found to be a nice balanced sound, and I quite like them for what they are. I'm not really an in-ears fan, but I have to use them on many gigs I do, and they work pretty good for me, I've found. Other ones that I've found that I like are the, the good old UE7s are good, the Ultimate ears. Now, a lot of people talk about JH audio. I've never tried those, but they're supposed to be good as well. I know Steve Stevens uses those and likes them. A lot of guitar players seem to like the JH. Let's see. Dan says, curious how you use the Musicom Lab effects unit in preset mode or song set mode. Preset mode. I've never done the song set thing with it. Never got that far. I just make presets, and then sometimes I kick it over so that I can individually access the different pedals. That works for me. There might be a better way to use it, but once you kind of get into a mode of using it, or a style of using the thing, I guess just preset mode works for me. I have my tech like right out on my set list. Preset number, bank number 5/preset 2 or whatever for a certain sound. That's on my set list, and he does all my changes anyway. This is on the Japanese gig I do. Most of the time he's setting me up for the song. So by the time a new song starting, he's changed the preset to go to the new sound, because he's got a MIDI controller over in his tech world MIDI'd up to mine, and so he'll do the initial preset change, and sometimes he does the changes for me during songs, because sometimes like I'm supposed to be out on stage running around and stuff like that, and I can't make the changes, so he does it, and he's become like my right hand man really when it comes to he really helps me have a better show, and I can concentrate on performing as opposed to if I'm not close to my MIDI controller. He tends to do it. Paul Gilbert or Steve Vai, says Jacob. I say both. I love both those guys. Chris is asking, did Brittany play drums on Pete Thorn 2 at all? No, actually. But she did a demo song with me recently. I can't remember the demo, but a little while ago we did a thing together. I'm sure we'll do more of that. Art says, good morning. I hope the fires haven't affected you. Art from Long Beach. Yeah, you're cool down there in Long Beach. I'm sure the air is probably much better down in Long Beach, although it's pretty clear out today. So I guess the winds have shifted back, which probably isn't good for the fires, I think that's what's blowing it. The winds, what they call the Santa Anas here in California, blowing straight out towards the sea. High winds, hot, dry winds coming from inland and blowing out is keeping the air clear here, but probably worse for the fires. So I hope they're getting a handle on it out there. Seems just crazy. Carl says, for the shows, when you do in-ear monitors, why bother using an amp at all? That's a good question. Sometimes, so if I didn't have a cabinet on stage, I probably would, I would probably use a setup like what you hear me playing through right now, which is, and I have. So I've done tours where I've just used a PT100 into a load box and then gone direct to the PA with a sound like you're hearing. And now with this thing, that's the Freakout. You can't see me doing it, but I'm hitting it here on the floor. All right. I can get feedback now at no volume. I'm barely got the studio monitors on here because I don't want it to go into the mic too much that you guys are hearing me talk through. But so with the Freakout, it works great. I still love an amp because you can reach back there and just turn the knobs. It's so easy, But yes, if I had to do a tour, if it was if the budget was lower and they didn't want to carry around stuff as much, sure, I could use a Helix or Axe Effects AX8 like I've got here, or the Headrush or something like that. Did you guys see the Headrush video I did this week? It's for the Gigboard. I've had a lot of people ask me about, Line 6 or Gigboard, or, it's like, I think I'm going to make a video where I break down like which modeler and why. Like if you were going to buy one of those things, but you're wondering which one to get, because it's the most common question I get. Should I get the Helix or should I get the Axe Effects? Should I get the, delicious. 3 323 people online. That's pretty good. So, yeah, I think I'll make a video where I kind of break down the pluses and minuses, because at this point, I think my thing with the modeling units is, you know, you got to compare them. They all sound good. So let's look at them as though they were cars. So like the deluxe ones are like, you know, Mercedes, BMW, Lexus, and Infiniti or something, right? Well, they're all good cars. They're all very nice, and they all get you from point A to point B. Some of them are going to have better features than others and appeal to one person more than the other, but they all are good. So it's not like one is vastly, you know, I mean, but some of them have, you know, the obvious things like the headrush touchscreen, or, you know, with the Helix, I love the editor, you know, things like that. You know, there's going to be different aspects to them that, you know, that the Axe Effect's one of the biggest probably advantages, and maybe thing that bothers people about it is the depth that you can get into. If you're the type of person that really likes tweaking presets, for example, you know, you want to change the bright cap value on an amplifier and you want to mess with that stuff, then the Axe Effects is terrific, because you can get deeper with the Axe Effects into, you know, things like changing the EQ on your delay, like not just low and high cut, but actually like adding mids and making it resonate or things like that. That's things you can get into on the Axe Effects that are maybe for some people overkill, and for other people it's like the, you know, wet dream. They just want to be able to like tweak to their heart's content and get all that kind of detail in their tones. So there's advantages to all of these things, and what some people might see as disadvantages too. Brian says, any idea where Tor is going now that he left TC? Yeah, he's gone to UA actually. So you know, so part of me is sad, because he was, you know, he's always at TC, and I like TC, and I like the folks there, and but I'm really excited for him too, because it's great that he's, you know, that's a great growing company, and I think he'll be a big asset for them. Fun to just play every now and then. Let's see. Manu says, "Hi Pete, what's up, Manu?" Okay, dear Mr. Thorn, this is from Zyman, I believe your name is. Can you do a video which you explain how to create a guitar sound in a computer? I mean, which software interface from A to Z? That would be a cool video. I kind of have done videos like that for UA. If you watch the Pete Thorn's top UAD2 guitar tones videos that I started maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I made a bunch of videos where it was like, okay, I break down sound to sound to sound, like, or a part. Basically, I came up with a little song, whatever, like I always do, and played maybe one part, maybe 2 parts. They're kind of very simple songs, and then I break down the tones and I show all the different plugins. So check out those UAD2 videos, because I have made some exactly like what you're talking about, where I really break down the sounds, creating all the tones with computer. So Damien says, my eyes are bizarre. Thanks, Damien. You seem nice. Kemper versus Axe Effects 3 tone-wise. I've never tried an Axe Effects 3, to be honest. I haven't had a chance to check one out. The Axe unit that I have mainly that I've been using more than anything else is the like more than any other Axe Effects unit is the AX8, and I have one right here, and that's kind of, I really like the AX8 because it's so simple and it's just a foot controller, and it's all, you know. I would like to try the Axe Effects 3. I've heard great things about it from Billy Howardell, he's a friend of mine, the guitar player from Perfect Circle. He says the sound improvement with it is really noticeable, and he really likes it. So that's one kind of, you know, user that I've heard from that seems to really dig it. So we've got 357 people online. That's awesome. Backing up a little bit here. Oh, we got somebody in the live chat here, super chat, and oh, thank you, sir. He sent me, that's Betez. He sent me 10 pounds. You didn't have to do that, but I appreciate it. I do. Don't think that I don't, because I do. You're too kind. Very, very, very nice of you, sir. Thank you. Okay, let's find another question. Sorry, the chat's jumping around as it always does. So I'm trying to figure out where I was here. Somebody says, I really need a Floyd Rose. I don't have a Floyd Rose on here, though. I got that new Wilkinson bridge. Stays in tune just great. Pretty much perfect. Sounds the much nuts. It does sound good right now, right? Play that riff I was playing at the beginning. I love it. I mean, it sounds really great. The aux is fun. Really fun to play through. You can get some great tones. This is the cabinet and the aux I'm using is for anybody that's got one, maybe I can just show you the setup that I got going right now on the old iPad. 1 second here. Oh, got to connect to the aux. Let me turn on the iPad. 1 second. That's what I'm doing. If anybody wants to screenshot it and try it in their aux, it's the 25 watt greenback thick cabinet, and you can see I got the condenser 67 mic. I got the 421 with the high end roll up. I got off axis on both of those, and then I'm using the mono room mic, and I got a delay on as well. It's a little bit of echo, but anyway, you can try that setup if you want to. It sounds really good to me for a warm kind of greenback, warm yet sizzle. Pete, did you just get a new Suhr Classic, says Chris? No, but I do have one on order. That's going to be cool. I ordered one recently that, so I've got an old Jackson that is basically same. It's that wonderful mid 80s Charvel neck shape that is so playable and so awesome. Closest thing Suhr has would probably be the Guthrie neck, like the one they used to put on their Guthrie Govan model. That neck shape, I think they call it their elliptical neck. So it's very similar to that. But anyway, I'm having Suhr digitize the neck on this old Jackson that I have. It was one of my first really good guitars, and it's basically that, Sam Demas Charvel shape, maple neck. So anyway, on this Suhr Classic I'm getting a candy apple red with a tortoiseshell pickguard and aged, kind of heavy aging on it, and a flamed or bird's eye roasted neck with big frets, and it's got that Charvel shape, and then it's going to be cool. It's going to be really cool. Yeah, I'm excited about it. Just kind of hot rod, super strat, it's beat up sort of thing. Yeah, okay. Been playing almost 30 years, says the old guy, and still learn new stuff every time I play. Me too, man. All the time. I love it. Can you play a satanic nuance? Sure. I'm just gonna play tritones if you want to get dark. I don't know. I guess he doesn't like Kemper. No, I do like a Kemper. I have one right here, and I love it. Don't think that I don't like the Kemper. You're right. I didn't mention it. I should have. See, there's so many of them that I forget. I use my Kemper all the time. I've got nice profiles that I made of some of my amps in it, and it's great. It's really good. All these things are good units. It's like I say, the Kemper, the Axe Effects, the Helix, the head rush. It's like anybody that says, "Oh, this one's vastly superior to the other one," give me a break. It's like you can make any of them sound good. You really can. They all sound good. Just like it gets ridiculous at some point, because it really is almost like saying, well, the Lexus, the Infiniti, the Mercedes, the BMW, they're all really good cars, and some of them are just going to win out with certain people because of certain features. But they'll all get you from point A to point B really well. Do I do a lot of drive stacking with pedals or mainly amp channels? So no, that's from Daniel. I don't do a lot of drive stacking. Occasionally I'll use the clean channel, the PT100, and I'll use something like the Jan Ray for like a Tweedy kind of overdrive, light overdrive, Stonesy kind of sound or something. And then if I'm playing a solo, I'll hit it with the Archer. So I do that. But that's about it. Really on my board, it's like the Jan Ray getting hit with either the Fuzz or the Archer somewhere. That's about all the drive stacking I do. Other than that, it's the dirty channel in my amp, which is what. So right now you're hearing the. This is just the amp. This is And this is with the Archer. You hear me talking on it. And I love the Archer for this, you know, that it just kind of thickens the mids a little. And adds a little bit of drive. You know, that's my main lead kind of thing right there. Not like a ton of gain, just, you know, get a little bit of volume going on that, and you get more sustain than you need, feedback and all that. That's cool. Music Man or PRS or Fender Player Series, €1,000 guitars. Geez, I don't know, dude. I mean, you're talking about, you know, Music Man to me is like much more of a, generally speaking, a Strat sort of affair, and a PRS is a glue-in neck with humbuckers, and, you know, I guess not all of them, but that's what I think of the, you know, it's also personal. Yeah. I have a Freakout as well, says Reed. He says, great device. Do you experience what I do where it works as soon as you turn it on, but then stops until you turn it off and on again? No, I don't really have that problem. I don't have any kind of like abnormalities with it. It works pretty perfect the way I have it set. I set on my Freakout pedal, the level is about at 9 o'clock, and then the onset is about at 11 o'clock. And that seems to work good for me. And I use the second from all the way clockwise, like one back from turned up all the way. That's the harmonic setting I use, which is just kind of a broad overall. It adds kind of an upper harmonic in it. That's the setting I really like on the Freakout. Because it sounds kind of the most like real feedback to me. And it just kind of works like that. It works perfect for me. Steve says, are you using OBS? No, I'm not streaming with OBS right now. I'm using Google. I'm using Chrome, and it works great. I'm really happy with the new, since I went to this, it works much better than OBS, I find. Moving down. Let's be honest, the Line 6 Helix sounds awful. I mean, that's from OV. Oh, no, it doesn't. I can make it sound great. I'll tell you this much. With my main rig on tour in Japan, I had it all set up, mic'd up, all that, and then I set up presets in the Helix using an IR, a Celestion IR of the same kind of cabinet I have, which is a closed-back 212 with Celestion G12H speakers. I used the Placator amp model, which is like a Friedman B100 style sound, in place of my PT100, because that was a close, you know, sound. I'm just talking about like the main dirty sound, for instance. And I went back and forth standing in an arena through a PA, you know, a full line array PA, and I had them switch from the Helix to my main rig. And I'm standing there with the guy that hired me, you know, who's the MD, and the crew chief that's in charge of the entire crew, right? And they're switching the rig back and forth through this great big PA in like a 12,000 seat arena. And they all looked at me like, dude, that's amazing. Like, that sounds so good. They were shocked and surprised. And if you just set the thing up right, it was a unit where what I'm trying to get across here is a room full of pros, you know, at the top of their game. And everybody was like, you know, a mic'd up great guitar rig. Now, I still love my amps, but it's like you can get really close, man. So I don't know. Maybe you're not using it right. Maybe you just haven't, you know, haven't tweaked it right. That's where I'll go with that. It just does not sound awful, you know. Give me a break. Come on. I don't agree. I will disagree, and many others that I've, you know, shown the thing to have been very impressed with the sounds you can get. So. Another question like this, Brad says, Line 6 Helix Stomp versus Headrush Gigboard. Well, that's a good question. So with the Helix Stomp and the Gigboard, they're different sizes. You know, the Gigboard to me is still more like a standalone modeler. Yes, you could use it like to replace guitar pedals with a rig. but it's pretty, it's compact. It's this big, but that would be a big guitar pedal to just have on a pedal board with other pedals. So I would say it's more of a unit that you would want to consider to be the main source of tone, mainly, and I mean, you could use it like a, I guess similar to the HX effects, maybe you could use it like that, but it doesn't have as many buttons. I'm thinking of the Gigboard more like a standalone modeler still. That yes, you could use for effects and stuff, but the HX Stomp is more like, I don't want to say it's more versatile because I think the Gigboard is great. There's going to be certain people where that really appeals to, but the HX Stomp is more like, yes, it's the size of a DD500 almost. It's really small, so you could fit it on just about any pedal board. And you can also use it like a modeler. Now, it's got a much smaller screen, doesn't have the touch screen with the drag and drop thing. So once again, this gets into the stuff where it's like the individual person is going to find, like, some people are going to be, the cool thing with the Gigboard is you don't ever have to touch a button. It's all on the screen. Like almost everything is done via the touch screen. So that's going to appeal to a certain kind of person that really, somebody that's really into using an iPad or their phone or whatever. And they're like, man, I hate paging through. It feels archaic to like page through menus with. And because of the touch screen and stuff, you don't really need an editor with it. It would be kind of like redundant, I think. And it's kind of a simpler unit with less parameters. There's less things to adjust, which could be seen as a plus or a minus to different people once again, right? So the HX Stomp is going to be, hey, I want a unit that does modeling, but I really want to use it primarily for effects on my board where I might have used an M5 before or something like that. And hey, plus it does great amp modeling stuff, great. And the Gigboard is going to be more for, I don't know, you know what I'm saying? It's like the touch screen is going to be the plus. It does have one effects loop in it. That's something the HX Stomp doesn't have. So, price point's a little different. I mean, it's pretty similar, but anyway, let's move down in the chat. It's about 11:37. I'm going to go to exactly 12:30 because I'm going to go meet John Suhr for lunch. So I'll start winding up around 12:20 or something in about 15 minutes. But I'll probably go over like I always do. Timothy says, another old guy took up guitar as a retirement hobby. That's cool, man. When does the purchasing stop? Oh, that's part of the fun. You could be playing golf and you'd be going to buy golf clubs all the time. I wonder if that new driver will just solve all my problems, right? Jeff says guitar is a little hot and YouTube is compressing at times. Okay, I'll turn it down a little bit. Thank you. I have the input control right here for that. Thanks for that feedback. Pete, the guitar sound this week, PT plus aux, comparing with last week, this week, so much better. What did I use? I think I used the Helix last week. But, this does sound great. In all fairness to the Helix, I set up a preset last week that maybe I wasn't totally happy with, like right before the show. But this does sound really good. No doubt. I think so. Sounds good to me too. At like super bedroom volume. Okay. Never too late to start your musical journey, says old guy. That's true. I agree. Guitar sounds sweet. Thank you. Okay, trying to find another question here. Let's see. The Covers Duo says, thanks for all your videos. The information is something important and sharing is the best in the world. Thanks, man. Do I like John Mayer? I like John Mayer very much. I think John Mayer is a great guitar player. And I think that he's helped to keep the guitar. Let's be honest. I mean, he you probably wouldn't have Mateus Asado if you didn't have Mayer, so he's the bridge, and which Mateus told me. He was the guy that, Mateus used to play like shred metal. And then he heard John Mayer and was like, it wasn't Stevie Ray Vaughan, it wasn't Hendrix. For me, it was John Mayer. He's like, I was young and it was like, I heard him, he was on radio and it was like, whatever, like he's the one that made the connection with that sort of, I don't know what you want to call it, sort of more soulful, cleaner guitar playing. Anyway, I think Mayer's great. And he's my He's my text buddy. We talk about guitar stuff all the time. He's a super cool guy, actually. I like him. He's very nice when you chat with him, one-on-one. He's just a guitar geek. Okay, and John saying, what? Tor left TC Electronic? Yes, he did. He left TC and went to UA. So we all wish him the best, and I hope that we see lots of him with UA. And I work a lot with UA, so I hope to maybe I can do something with him there, on on the video front or something. Okay, L Scott Music. Hey, dude, what's up? It's Lauren. He says he got a great deal on an SSD drive. That's awesome. Black Friday, great deals on SSD. Yeah, for all out there that do computer recording and you're still using an old, drive that spins in your computer, it's time to upgrade. Get an SSD because they've come down so much, and it's amazing how an SSD drive, if you got an older Mac or something and it's running super slow and sucks, go to like Other World Computing or something and look at the deals you can get on an SSD replacement drive for your computer, and it will increase. It's the number one thing. I'll save you a lot of money right now by telling you you'll get years of use out of your computer still. If you just replace that old drive with the SSD, you'll be amazed. It makes it seem like a new computer. It's definitely advisable. And it's a relatively cheap upgrade, probably $200 to $300 at this point. Over buying a new computer, $1,200 minimum proposition if you're a Mac user like me. Probably more like up around $2,000 if you want to get a good one. Okay, I'm way behind in the chat, so I'm gonna move down a bit, guys. And we got 400 people online. That's pretty good. I'm just gonna back up a little bit here and pick a place to start because I'm falling behind. Looking for a question, folks. Hey, from Lakeside, Montana. What's up? God, I wish my eyes were better. It's hard to read the chat. Did I hook up with Marty Friedman in Japan? No, I've never met Marty. I'd like to, though. Maybe give me Japanese lessons. I think you guys are talking about my guitar. A few people like Olga are talking about where you can get, this guy. Yeah, Peach Guitars in UK. They actually have, I think, 2 right now. A gold one, and they've got one of these blue ones coming. Turquoise. Ocean turquoise. Let's see here. Tom says he has a Helix and a Kemper, and he thinks they both sound great. There you go. Somebody with a good informed, with both of them. I will say the Michael Britt profile, the PT100, is go-to sound for me. Is that the old PT100? It is good. He did a good job. Michael does great profiles. Can't recommend his profiles highly enough. They sound really good. And the Kemper really sort of lives or dies by the profiles. I think the Kemper is almost like a sampler. It's like what you put in it is what you get out of it. And you could, if you just play a bunch of bad profiles or sort of not great ones, you're gonna have a bad impression of it. Play good ones, and it's like, whoa, it's a completely different thing. Let's see. Is Suhr still in New York? I used to see the guitars at 48th Street. I don't know who the dealer is in New York. That's a good question. I'm not sure. Maybe somebody out there can answer that. Let's see. Mr. Fisher says he ordered an HX Stomp from Sweetwater 2 weeks ago, and they're on back order. Yeah, I think they're really highly in demand. Hard to get right now. Lauren says that he thinks this about modelers. Real amps deliver great tone without the operator knowing why. He can listen to tone and know what is missing, which helps in dialing in a great tone. Thank you, sir. Yeah, an amp is easy. That's true. You just get a good amp. I mean, it's hard. You get a PT100 or a B100 or, for that matter, a nice, Victoria, double deluxe or like a, just a cool, simple amp. and it's going to, you know, the amp isn't the issue, right? You just plug it in and, well, it sounds good. If you don't sound good through one of those, then the problem's you. Whereas with a modeler, it's pretty easy to, you could be a good player, but it could still sound bad. That's kind of true. If you're not great at dialing in tones, because you do have to do some work with the modelers, I think, which is weird. It's like, I don't really feel like the out of the box presets on most modelers, to be honest, and you can pick anything, are very good. You know, most of the presets to me are either over affected or sound kind of processed, and then I need to get in and do my stuff and tweak it and stuff. And within 20 minutes or something, I can make it sound pretty good, I think. You know, that is 100% true, I think. Is the delay coming from the aux? Yeah, the delay's in the aux right now. The aux has a great delay. I can show you guys really quick. Here, just on the iPad, just go to the delay, and I'll turn up the. Oh man, it's always one thing that bothers me is that it's always every time my iPad closes, then it needs to reconnect. Okay, so I'll turn up the mix knob, and I'll turn up the feedback, and you'll hear the delay really clearly. All right, so I've got it so that the low end is rolling off at about 150. I'll actually bring that up a little bit. I've got it now at 250, and I've got the high cut rolling off at about 2K, and that gives you a nice warm echo. I'll turn up the feedback even more so you can really hear the tone of the delay. You know, this kind of sound you can. You know, the delay is so nice and warm. This is what I mean. I love that sound when I'm soloing, but sometimes I set my delays maybe when you want to hear, like, say you want to play something at the edge or something, you need more delay that is apparent. Sometimes I've been bringing some of that high end back so that, because if I roll the high end up, let's roll the high end up now to like 10K. Now listen to how loud the delay sounds now. Right? So with all that top end, it starts taking over the core guitar sound a little bit. Right. So amazing how with all that feedback and stuff, if I just dial it all the way back to about, I'll take it back to 2K again. And now. You know, in the delay, you can have a lot of delay, a lot of feedback, and a fairly high mix, and it'll just sit behind the core guitar tone without really getting in the way very much. So that's much more. Usually with feedback, I like to clearly hear about 4 repeats when I'm for like a solo sound. So. Something like that. Alrighty. We need a 2 repeat. When is that? Are you talking about my studio? It's stalled right now. It's happening though. We ran into just some supply issues, so I'm waiting for some supplies, and then the things will come together pretty quickly this next coming week. Okay, really dig the channel, says Simon. How would you stack delay for distorted big metal sounds? Think Petrucci. Well, the main thing was with metal sounds, you want to kind of run it like I am right now, like post. And there's different kind of, there's a good Andy Timmons video on how he does delay. He likes to have repeats that are kind of like maybe like a, if he's got a quarter note on one side, he kind of likes 2/3 of that on the other side. He doesn't like quarter and eighth at the same time because he feels like it stacks up too much. I don't mind it actually. Like sometimes I like a 250 and 500 millisecond split in stereo. And that gives you a nice kind of the eighth note on one side and the quarter on the other side, something like that. So I do that a lot. But for metal sounds, I kind of think post, you don't want to use the delay in front of the amp. You want to use it post. And generally speaking, I do the stereo thing, and I'll usually do different times. Or sometimes I'll do a quarter note delay, but I'll set the the offset so that it's not exactly the same on each side, right? So let's say one side's 500 milliseconds, the other side will be 496. So then you get a stereo spread. If you set them both the same, it just sounds mono. So yeah, but more often than not, I mean, over the years, I've probably done the split 250, 500 thing and then adjust to taste for the tempo, if that makes sense. And yeah, always cutting low end. I always cut the low end quite a bit so the delay doesn't muddy up the tone. And I always cut the high end to a certain, you know, as low as maybe 2K or something, or as high as maybe 5 or 6. I never have it, you know, I'm always cutting the high end back to at least like 5K. I can show you what the difference sounds like. So right now it's at 2K. Let's turn up the delay again and listen to the difference on a sound like this. I'm gonna bring the mixes up quite high. So that's with the high end back at 1.8K. If I bring it up to 5K, it's pretty dramatically different, but still degrades a bit over time, right? Let's bring it back again to about 2K. We'll listen to it one more time. I like, generally speaking, I like that. You know, I veer towards that. Because once again, I like having a lot of delay, but I don't like having it clutter up the core guitar tone. This is something Tim Pierce likes a lot, I know too. He's always darkening his delays a lot. And so with the low cut at 246 hertz, let's bring it up even more. Let's bring it up to 370. You're into the delay thins out. You don't really need all that low end in the delay. You know? So I like this kind of thinner sort of more, and then it's nice to be able to like, you know, sometimes, like I say, if you can even boost mids in the delay, you can make it resonate and do cool things. And so the delay sounds more exciting when you kind of tune the tone of it. Tune the tone. So I just find that I can use more delay, generally speaking, when it's not so damn bright and not so bassy. So I like that. We need a tour, says Chris. I don't know when, man. Maybe. I got so much going on this fall already. I am going, by the way, to, for those that don't know, I'm going to Cosmo Music in Canada, as well as, God, the store starts with an L, and I'm forgetting the name of it right now. I'm terrible at this, but it's in Ottawa, and it's the Suhr dealer in Ottawa. And so anyway, beginning of December, first week of December, I'll be up at Cosmo Music in Toronto, as well as Ottawa the following day for 2 Suhr clinics. Not really the same as a tour, but hey, I'm going to do, you know, my recording and production for the modern guitarist clinics up in Canada. So I'm excited about that. For those of you that are in Canada, please come. What mic do I think would work both well for voice and guitar? Probably something like an SM7 would be a great choice. Now, a 57 or something is okay. But like an SM7 is actually a great, if you do a lot of vocals, like tracking vocals, an SM7 is a great thing to have. It's a great mic that many people have, I think Michael Jackson sang a lot with an SM7. You know, you can cut vocals and not worry about having to redo them if you use an SM7 on, you know, professional recording kind of level. You know, they're a great sounding mic. And they can sound good on guitar too. It's a dynamic microphone, and it's about $300 something, something in that range. So that would work well on both voice and guitar. I like 4050s from Audio-Technica a lot. I always like that microphone. It's a large diaphragm condenser, and it sounds great on guitar amps for whatever reason. And that's a good all-purpose condenser mic that would also work well, you know, for cutting vocals. So look at a 4050 and for a condenser mic, and look for in the dynamic category, look for an SM7, I would say. You know, Audio-Technica mics are sleepers. It's like not a lot of people are that into I don't want to say not into them, but it's like they're not aware of them, you know, like, and they sound so damn good. The Audio-Technicas, I don't know, terrific. If anybody out there is familiar with them, Feel free to chime in and tell me about it. Like the 4047, I think that was a really, really good mic as well. Okay. Let's see here. What was my first pro rig? My first pro rig, that's from Justin, was, I guess when I started gigging out originally when I came to LA, I had a Mesa Boogie Studio preamp and a 295, big old rig with a rack, 12-space rack. And that's what I came down to LA with from Canada when I originally came to LA. It was way too much stuff. I should have just sold it and bought something else in LA. But yeah, I had two of those Mesa 212 cabinets, the vertical ones, and the studio preamp. And I pretty quickly sold all that stuff, and I got a 5150 head. So it was the PV 5150, the original block logo one. I had one of those. And then I started gigging a lot, like cover band stuff and some sessions and stuff. And I used that 5150 a lot. And it sounded great. The crunch channel was good for getting semi-cleans and stuff. And so I guess it was that. I mean, this is a long time ago. It's amazing to think that amp was 25 years ago, but it's true. Yeah, incredible that it's been that long. And then I had a Marshall DSL 50, and I did a lot of tours with the Marshall, the old first generation, DSL 50 when it came out. And I used that amp, but all my early kind of pro stuff. And then I got a top hat, King Royale, which was like an AC30, and I loved that. And then I had a Bogner, an Ecstasy original 101, and I changed a lot after that for a time, And I got another top hat, an Amplexador, which is like I still have that amp. So now we're getting into more like 15 years ago, and some of that gear I still have. So I still have my Amplexador, great 50 watt, sort of Plexi meets 70s Marshall kind of amp. 3 Desert Island albums. Well, the first one that came to mind is Dark Side of the Moon. And then you'd have to pick a Beatles album, I guess. And then I'd probably pick Van Halen 1 or maybe Back in Black. Yeah, Beatles, Floyd, Van Halen, Beatles, Floyd, AC/DC. That's a hard one. How do I pick if I can only have 3? Quentin says, you guys be safe out there. Yes, thank you, sir. Let's see. Moving down. Let's see. I had the same with Richie Kotzen, very soulful player. He's an amazing player. Yeah, he's great. I actually had a long talk with Richie recently it was a Foo Fighters party. That was a pre-Cal Jam party that I went to. And Richie was there, and he's super nice. And we had a great talk, and I'm a little concerned, about him because his home is out where the fires are. I believe he has a home out that way. And so I really hope that his place is okay. And anyway, I kind of connected with him that night, and I hope to, talk with him more and hang out with him more and stuff, because he's a very, very nice guy, and he's an amazing musician. Somebody says, I imagine John Mayer would have been so much greater if he'd stayed and finished school. I don't know, man. I think he's pretty great. He did pretty well for himself. I mean, how good a guitar player do you have to be? It's like, he's a pretty great guitar player, I think. And the guy can write songs. And that, to me, is much more important than playing guitar, It's like, I don't think John Mayer did anything wrong. And I tell you what John Mayer did that was brilliant is that we all didn't know that he was kind of a quite an accomplished, soloist and blues player and things. He went and did the blues trio later on. But what he did that was so brilliant was he just played acoustic guitar and wrote these pop songs that were super catchy and obviously became huge hits, off all the stuff off the first record and stuff. He did a couple albums and got rooted in, like really blew up as a songwriter. So everybody thought of him as that. He's a pop songwriter. That's sort of what people thought of him as, like a kind of rootsy pop songwriter guy. And then, whoa, he can play electric guitar like quite well, can't he? And he came out and did that. So what he avoided was the kind of, blues guy stereotype, getting boxed into a much smaller audience and crowd, I think, is what Mayer avoided by saying, you know, I'm gonna, like, he basically got himself so popular to the point where then he could go out and he made the, you know, like he did the trio and basically played blues. And if you watch the gigs, like there's a DVD of Mayer playing, I think it's in LA. I'm not super up on the names of all of his albums and stuff like that, so I'm not sure. But there's a concert that came out where it's filmed in LA with the trio with Pino and all that on bass. And if you look at the crowd, it's all, you know, it's largely female and young people, you know, and he's playing blues in front of, you know, probably, I don't know, there's more than 10,000 people there, right? And so here's the genius, is that he got himself to the point where he could get himself in front of a crowd like that and then put out a blues trio record and kind of do whatever he wants. Like, you know, he became so popular through the pop stuff and solidified his popularity. Now he can go and make a blues record and just do whatever the heck he wants. So he was really, really smart with his career path, I think. So you got to hand it to John, because also consider that folks like Mateus and stuff, that's where they first saw that style of sort of, you know, soulful, like whatever blues based guitar playing. And he influenced a whole generation of young people that, you know, like what we think of him as older, you know, like I'm 47, what we think of him as like older players, it's kind of irrelevant because it's what, you know, 20-year-olds, people that are 30 now, 35 or whatever, it's what they think of him. You know, I think without him, we would have had less guitar going on, less popularity. You know, we talk about the demise of the guitar and popular music and all that. Without Mayer, it would have been, he did a real service for the guitar community by keeping the guitar out there. And then, like I say, you know, going out and doing a blues trio album, playing in front of thousands of people that are basically like, you know, younger people and stuff. And that struck me when I saw that concert. I was like, wow, he's done a good thing for guitar. So, you know, I don't know, man. I mean, I really like when you say, like, you know, he could have been so much better had he stayed in school. Like, better how? Like, who cares? You know, he writes good songs, he sings great. I could really care less if he had more soloing skills. It's irrelevant to me, you know, to be honest. I think that he you know, not to bag on everybody's got their opinion. I don't mean to, like, you know, maybe you're right. Maybe he would have been better at something and it would have resonated with a certain audience more. But for me, he's golden, to be honest. I think he's done a great thing with his career. What do I really think of the Bogner compressor? I think it's great. Are you talking about the Lyndhurst? It's kind of a soulful, cool, like interesting, you know, Reinhold, all the pedals are pretty damn cool. The fuzz, it's great. And it's kind of funny because I've heard some of the pedals, to be honest, in their initial stages before he really gets into tweaking, and they're like, I'm like, whoa, I don't get this thing at all. And then, like, he always reins them in and makes them cool. So, you know, I like Reinhold a lot. I mean, I think he's a character, and he's a unique dude in this business for sure. Andy Timmons is fantastic. That's from Dwight. Andy Timmons, I think he's amazing. Do I use a block to keep the bridge stable? No, my bridge floats. Not a lot, but generally speaking, I have it set. I think right now, if the guitar is set up right, yep, I've got it set to pull up a whole step on the G string. And that loosely translates to a half step on the B. So I'll only go up a half step on the B. So, but, and I like it set like that. So it's pulling up. That's how I like to set it. Because I like to do a lot of, you know, I kind of grew up with that Alex Lifeson, like, you know, hearing a lot of his vibratoing through chords and stuff. When he, around the sort of Grace Under Pressure, he was playing they're called the Hentor Strat with the Floyd on it. And I just grew up liking his vibrato a lot that he would do with the bar. What's up with the PT50? Well, okay, so I can't tell you too much as usual and stuff because we don't want to spoil it, but we're building now, being built. So soon, something coming very soon. What I mean by that is, like, all the parts are in place. We have everything. So now it's just the build stage. So I'm super excited. Right around the corner. At this point, it's going to go very quickly, I think. Unless we run into problems, which is always possible. You know, like, oh, there's crosstalk somewhere. We need to figure that out. And where on the circuit board could be an issue or something, you know. There's bleed, there's something, you know. But barring any of that, you know, they do think about these things in advance. And barring it, too many issues with that kind of stuff, will be okay. It's 12:05, so I'm going to go for another 25 minutes. We got 430 people online. That's pretty rad. I am excited about that. Okay. I am totally lost as to where I should be in the chat right now, to be honest. So I'm just going to start from here. Does John Suhr have any plans on making set necks? Well, he's making his Aura. Is that what you're talking about? A glue-in neck guitar, set neck? The Aura model is being made right now, and they're starting to ship. So, like, our customers already have them. It takes a while to make them because John's doing most of the work on them. Like, you know, you get one, you're actually getting a guitar that John's done the frets on and stuff. So, Alex says, check it out on their website if you haven't seen it. Go to the Suhr website and you'll see the set neck Aura. They're beautiful. Also, he's putting up a bunch of pictures on his Instagram and stuff as he's working on them. It's the stunning looking guitars. Alex says the Headrush Gigboard demo was amazing. Thank you, sir. I had fun recording that tune for sure. Which guitarist would you like to work with the most, either for the first time or again? Ed. I'd love to do something with him, you know. Just of course, because, you know. Also Ian Thornley, and we've talked about it actually, and I hope that happens at some point. We'll do something together. But I have a real love for Ian and his musicality, and he's a wonderful guy and stuff. And I'd love to do something with him at some point. So, question about your tremolo setup, says Mr. Ross. Mr. Bose? Sorry, that's how bad my eyes are. It's hard for me to read. Wish I could make the text bigger. And anybody know how to make the text bigger in Google? It would be rad if I could. Let's see, where was I? Question about the trem setup. Are you concerned about floating bridge and bend pitches? Well, that's interesting. So I just addressed that. So my trem setup, to pull up a whole step on the G, which I find loosely translates. It's a little more than a half step, but on the B. And that's how I generally set it up. And it's kind of, so it's just tilted forward a little bit when it's set like that, as opposed to being sort of, you know, parallel with the body. Last delay question: in the loop or between guitar and amp input? It depends on the sound. I can actually, you know, easily demonstrate that right now with the setup I have. So I'm going to turn off the delay that I have going in the aux. Let's do a little thing on this. So right now I'm using the Echoplex. Turn the feedback down. Trying to find the there it is. So this is the Ain't Talking About Love. Now, I've got the delay set pretty hot right now, but so this is delay running in front of the amplifier. If I turn down the volume on the guitar, you know, it gets kind of dynamic. It's like it almost, with this much mix, it's still kicking through pretty loud no matter what. Let me just turn it down a bit more. Okay, now if I roll the guitar down, right, the delay almost disappears. Okay, that's my point. So this is what happens with running delay in front of a dirty amp. That's a cool sound, you know, because you can kind of play the delay. The harder you hit, you know what I mean? It jumps out more. But then when you roll the volume down, it's going to... So that dynamic quality, the only way you can get that is running the delay in front of the distortion, because the distortion in the amplifier is compressing the delay as you're playing it and making it jump out. Hit the amp harder, the amp distorts more, kicks the delay back and makes it okay. So that sound is why you want to use delay in front of an amplifier. Essentially, that's what I think. You know. Now, if I turn up the feedback and I bring the mix up a little bit and I go for maybe a more prominent delay, it can sound cool, but you hear how it's just a little chaotic. It's a great sound. It's got a you know, it's still got that dynamic quality to it and stuff, but trying to get a long delay this way, it gets, you know, that it kind of gets distorted. It's not clean, you know. The delay is actually kind of distorting with the amplifier. And it's kind of a very retro, it's a cool sound, but it's like, you know, it does sound great. I mean, it's cool, you know, it's just a little nastier and dirtier. If I go back to the delay, now I'm with the aux, I'm going to turn it on using futuristic technology in the, turn on the delay and the loop in the amplifier. Now you'll hear, even with quite a bit of delay and the feedback quite high, the delay is cleaner. Right? Doesn't. I'll turn it off again. And I'll go back to the Echoplex again. You know, in a way, it's a more exciting sound running the delay in front of the distortion. But the Echoplex pedal, by the way, is excellent at this. It's because of the tone of the delay, the way it degrades and stuff. It's got a really nice quality running into the front of an amp. So anyway, you know, for some sounds, you're going to want that cleaner delay. You're not going to want that chaotic kind of the delay distorting thing. And for other things, you know, it's cool. So, you know, it just depends. It's just a preference, really, like on the part you're going for. That's why I have the Echoplex on the board, to be able to get that sound if I want it. And it does it really, really, really well. The genius of George Trips. He's a wonderful designer. And both the MXR M300 reverb, which is maybe vastly underappreciated, I would say, and works great into the front of an amp, as well as the Echoplex, were designed by him, and he did a great job on them. They work really well running into, you know, an amp that's already clipping, as well as into clean amps. Have I heard, what's that? The rumors of Steve Vai using and endorsing Synergy. That's from Jeff. I think he's kind of publicly using it already. Like, I've seen him out using it. And whatever he does as far as the deal with him, I have no idea. But I wouldn't be surprised, you know, if we saw him using Synergy. But I think I've seen him using them already. As a matter of fact, that jam I did with him, I think he was playing it there. Let's see here. I'm not 100% sure about that, but I'm pretty sure. Oh, somebody's in the live chat. That's Fusion72. Hey, dude, thank you very much. Appreciate that. He sent me $10. Too kind, you guys. Hi and bye, and that's from Guitar Hack. See you, dude. Nice to have you. Have I tried the new Ernie Ball Cutlass guitar? I have not. Mike Bradley calls it the Strat Killer. It looks nice. I saw Mike got one, and it looks like a really nice guitar. 12:14. I gotta go soon, guys. So I'll be out of here pretty quick. But I got about another, I guess, 15 minutes. Just paging down. Sounds really good. I wish you could review the Victory preamp cranking pedal. I'd be happy to do that if they wanted me to. And let's see. I hear a bit of Eric Johnson in your touch and licks. Am I right? Yeah, I love Eric. I mean, all that kind of like... all that kind of stuff, which I still practice. I'm not great at it, like the 2-note per string pentatonic. All that, I love all that stuff. But playing fast through pentatonics like that is kind of not my strong suit. So I work on it. And I've actually gotten a little bit better at it. So it's one of the things that I work on. Those kind of fast descending pentatonic. I love that, you know, and I like his sort of arpeggio, you know, all the I'd have to practice that to get good at it. I already did that. It's really great. I love all that stuff. Oh wow, we got a whole bunch of people in the live chat. I got to go and answer some questions from. Let's see. Fusion72 says he's in the super chat. He says JC120 with high-end pedals or a tube amp of the same value. That's an interesting question. I would probably say people used to do that. They used to use JC120 with pedals, you know, and it was kind of a cool rig, I guess, back in the day. But I would go for a tube amp, to be honest, always. But the JC120's got its place in history. It's a cool amp for sure. Just showing you some love and support, says Jeff. Thank you, man. You're too kind. Thank you very much. He's in the super chat. He says, I'm thinking about getting a Kemper profiler. Don't know if I should go powered or not. I would get the powered Kemper because I think it's kind of cool plugging it into. You can do the direct profiles of just heads then and plug it into a speaker cabinet. You can use it at very low volume. You know, it's not a tube amp. So it's like some of my favorite profiles are actually the ones I did years ago of, like, you know, my Comet here or the PT100 and just the direct profile. And then I've got a little 110 cabinet here that I can run into, and at very, very low volume, it sounds really cool. So, and of course, then you could use it at gigs too. It just offers you more options, you know? So I would probably get the powered one if you can afford it. Mine's powered, and I think it's a good feature. Hi from Gatineau, Quebec. What's up? What's up, Quebec? I miss you up there. Would like to take a trip to Montreal again soon because I love that city. Awesome chat, says Mr. Bose. Nice to have you here. Thank you. Yeah, sorry, just finding my place here. Do I think tone is just as important as what you play? It says Guitar Hack. Well, it's all one and the same to me because I love great guitar sounds, and great guitar sounds with great, you know, the great tone is what will inspire you to, or help to inspire you to play cool guitar parts, I think. So, you know, it all goes hand in hand. If the tone's not very inspiring, I have trouble playing cool stuff, you know. So, who else we got here right now? Oh, Mateus is here. What's up, Mateus? Mr. Asado. How are you, man? It's been a minute since I've seen you. Good to have you here in my chat. Tell me what in your world. I don't get to see enough of Mateus. He's actually not far from my studio, and we went for lunch a while ago, and I'd love to go do that again, Mateus. If you want to hit me up, let's go have lunch again in the hood. Let's do it. Nice to have you here, man. What fill us in. Tell us what you're up to lately. In the type it in the chat thing. Brooks says, want to reinforce your idea about a video series on the biz, how to be successful. Loved your points about being a good person and your recent chat with Phil X about making mistakes live. Love your insights. Thanks. Yeah, I plan on doing that, kind of doing a series of, you know, I noticed, like, my friend Matt Starr, who's a drummer here in LA, he does like almost like a life coach thing, which I think is really cool because I've come to realize that it's like, you know, there's things that, like, after being, you know, a professional musician for going on almost 30 years, it's like you're going to be able to, you know, it's like, well, I don't know, doesn't everybody know how to do this stuff? But no, I guess not. It's like, you know, at one point I had to learn a lot of things the hard way. So it seems like it would be a cool thing to be able to pass on a few things that might seem obvious, but maybe not, you know, maybe it's not obvious stuff. Let's see. What guitar players did you aspire to when you started out playing? For me, I was a huge Beatles fan initially, and then it was Pete Townsend. First music I ever learned on the guitar was Who songs. So that was the beginning. And then quickly I got interested in, more kind of hard rock guitar players after that. Zachary's asking Mateus, he says, have you done any of these live streams? I don't know if Mateus does live streams or not. That's a good question. Come over next Sunday, Mateus, and we'll do this together. We'll hang out. Off-speech guitars Wednesday, says Tony Kennedy, to see Friedman's seminar. Oh, yeah, Dave's over there right now. Really enjoyed when you went there. Thanks. Yeah, it was fun. What a beautiful store. Listen to that delay. It's cool. Feedback's kind of high. Great sounding delay in the aux. Pretty vibey. Sounds cool. All right. Moving down. Who else is here? Who else is here? We got Chris again. Chris says, Mateus plays guitar like nobody else before or after. I agree. He's a completely unique. That's, I think many of our first impression of Mateus when we heard him was like, this is special. And, he's a very special guitar player and musician. Kind of all heart, which we love. All heart with tons of chops. That's a good combo. That's a winning combo. Nick L says, thanks, Pete. Hi from Philly. What's up? Good to see you. Zachary says, man, the internet is so cool. It is cool, isn't it? I love doing these things because it's like, we get to all hang and people from all over the world. The internet can be terrible and it can be a wonderful thing too. So let's use it as a power for good. What's your favorite amp for acoustic guitar? That is a great question. I've never owned an acoustic guitar amplifier, and it's something that I've often thought I should probably have, but I don't have any opinion on that, because I've never had one. So I'm always just running it into my in-ears or using it, getting a good sound through the wedge. Yep. What DAW would I recommend for a beginner guitar player? Well, GarageBand is a great place to start. That's from Michael. It comes free on a Mac. If you've got a Mac, just start with GarageBand. It works great. Initially, you're going to be able to get some recording chops on there. And then it is a nice, easy transition to Logic, which is what I use. A little bit of a learning curve, but they keep bringing them closer and closer together. It's much like iMovie and Final Cut Pro for video. They keep bringing them closer so that if you want to get into recording, you start with a simple program that they kind of give you for free, and then you step up to the one that you have to pay for that's a little bit more. So start with GarageBand. That's what I would recommend. Benjamin says, how would I compare or contrast Thornbuckers with patent number humbuckers in the 335 and the Yearn pickups? The bridge pickup in my 335 is very special, but it's quite low output, I find. It's like 7 point something K, 7.8 or something, but it's got probably the short magnet, Alnico 5 magnet. So it's a very different thing. I'd have to try that pickup in my 335 though. That guitar, in the bridge position sounds wonderful. It's got its own cool, amazing thing going on. Probably like a little raunchier or something than this pickup. The Thornbucker is, the wonderful thing about the Thornbucker is that kind of warm top end that it's got a nice, warm top to it that they're out of tune. But you can go up high on the E string. Now, we noticed that the same pickup with an Alnico 5 magnet in it, all other things equal, is a little edgy on that note. It might have a little more aggressive kind of top end that might be cool for some things. But when you get up high, this pickup just really sings. Maybe Mateus can offer some insight on that, actually, if he's still there in the chat, because I know he's used the Thornbucker and likes it. He's been using it for a while, but it really sings on the top string. I really like that. I enjoy it a lot. So yeah, I'd say my 335 has probably got more bite. Father Jacques says he bought a UAD satellite and then bought the PT100 plugins. Great plugin. Then the other search plugin showed up, and you also got that. That's the new SE100, I think it is, which I haven't tried actually. And I think Doug Aldrich has been kind of promoting it and using it and stuff, and he likes it. I haven't tried it yet. Brainworks did a wonderful job on my plugin. And we've had nothing but good feedback about it. A lot of people, you know, have said they think it's their favorite amp for UAD. I've seen a lot of posts online about that, and that makes me super stoked because, you know, it really is great. I mean, I thoroughly enjoy playing through it. And by the way, if you're a UAD user and you have a reactive load, Suhr reactive load, you could use it in the context of like running your amp into the reactive load and going line out into UA console, and then pull up the plugin on a channel in, you know, in the unison slot in UAD console, and then disable the amp sim. You know, you can disable the preamp and power amp separately and just leave the cab sim active, and then you've got an IR loader with some nice IRs right there in UAD console. You can record it like 2 milliseconds latency, almost no latency, and record through that for your cab sim and print the cab sims right into your DAW. So I think that that's really cool for those out there that know what I'm talking about, that whole diatribe. Try it because it works really great. It's really cool. Let's see here. If I'm running without an amp with pedals, you put stereo effects after a cab sim or before it. I find it's kind of 6 one, half dozen the other. The cab sim kind of rolls off in the way it's going to roll off, and so it's kind of like I don't really hear that much difference, to be honest. You will notice effects if you run effects in the loop of an amplifier. They're still going into the power amp, and the power amp adds a little bit of character or a little bit of maybe compression or je ne sais quoi to the effects a little bit. If you run, like, say, a reactive load after the amplifier and then go line out of that into the effects seem a little quieter, and you have to mix them a little hotter because they're really not getting any kind of compression or anything from any kind of amplification stage. So you might notice a little bit of change. But if what we're talking about is doing all of this in a DAW, pre or post cab sim, I bet you don't really hear that much difference. Maybe you will. I don't know. I've never done a direct AB, but I don't really think it matters. The cab sim applies its own massive EQ filter on the whole sound, whether or not you're putting IR, whether or not you're putting effects before or after it, I find. And that is the biggest overall, you know, kind of tone shaper. Let's see here. I'm going to go down to the bottom of the chat here, guys. I got about another 3 minutes and then I got to run. So I'm going to wind it up here pretty quick. Please show us how you do that up and down bend thing you just did. Up and down bend? I'm not sure what you mean. I don't know what you mean. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's that. Like I guess I do that a lot, but I never thought about it. It's a bend, and then I use the bar. I guess I do that a lot. Something like that. That's what I like, kind of combining bends with the bar, then using the bar for vibrato when you're bending and all that kind of good stuff. I have a Kramer from the 80s. Do you like Kramer? Says V. Elevit. I do. I had a Kramer Pacer that I bought not 10 miles from here, but I lived in Canada at the time. I bought it at the Guitar Center in Sherman Oaks when I was down here on vacation when I was 14. And that was one of my first really good guitars as well. It was a blue Pacer. It didn't have the hockey stick headstock. It had the old style, kind of like the Suhr headstock, actually. It had that style headstock on it, and a Floyd and one humbucker in the bridge and a 3-way switch. So you could do series, parallel, and coil tap, I think, with the pickup. And it had a volume and tone. That was a great guitar. Really like that guitar, and I never should have sold it. It was a good, really cool early Kramer. Let's see. Any particular exercises for practicing vibrato on bent notes? You just have to do it, and really, you could use a tuner if you want, although that gets a little silly, but just, bend the note and practice getting it up to pitch and then going under the pitch and back to the pitch. You want to, what you want to avoid is that, So listen to the target pitch, say A on the high E string, then bend the G note on the B string, and then make sure once you get up there, you can hold it, and you're right at the pitch, and then you can vibrato around it, kind of. So, yeah. It's just a matter of developing the strength. And the ear to know when you're in tune. So it just takes a little bit of practice, but it is one of the coolest things once you get it, and it definitely makes you sound like you've come a long way as a guitar player when you develop that, and you can nail it. Oh boy, somebody's in the super chat as Jeff. Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate it. Oh, maybe I already acknowledged that, but I appreciate it. Jeff was asking about the Kemper profile and whether or not I think I should get whether he should get the powered version. I like the powered version of the Kemper profiler. I think it's a great option to have. Let's see here. My thoughts on the Headrush Gigboard with bass. Did you hear the bass tone I got with it? It sounds great, dude. I mean, listen to the bass sound I got using the White Boost. I think it was called. Sounded awesome with my new bass back there, the Warwick. So I was really, really happy with it. Yeah. Ben says, "Cheers, Pete. Have a great lunch with John." Thanks. Yeah, I got to run off with. I got to go meet John over the hill, and have some lunch. What's for lunch? Says Chris. John's been eating vegan now, and it's out of his love for animals that he converted to. He's not eating any meat anymore, which is, in a way, it's sad because he used to make the best damn brisket. He could make brisket like nobody, and it was delicious. But he has a smoker at his place, and he'd make this brisket that was outstanding. But he's quit eating meat, and he loves animals. He's a real advocate, and he's got 3 or 4 beautiful dogs, 3 I guess, and he just couldn't eat meat anymore. And so we're going to a vegan place. So, okay, guys, I'm going to split. So thanks. This was really fun this week. And please keep all the folks suffering from the fires and stuff in your thoughts. It's terrible. I hope that, that they get a handle on it over the next few days. It's been such a drag out here because of that. But nice to have all you guys join me here. And we'll be back again next week for more chatting and stuff. And I got some videos coming out pretty soon. Some stuff this week that's exciting that I can't talk about because the gear's not out yet. But some things will be coming out pretty quick. And I'll try and get on making those videos kind of like the more like how to make it, how to audition, how to get gigs, how to keep gigs, how to never have a day job ever again. If I can offer some insight on that, I will. Okay, guys. Have a good rest of your week, and we will see you next Sunday. Take care.